June 14, 1961, North Atlantic, 300 miles south of Iceland. The sea is steel gray, hammered flat by wind that smells of ice and diesel. Beneath it, slipping through darkness at silent speed, the U.S. Navy nuclear submarine USS Allegiance cuts a narrow tunnel through cold pressure. Inside the hull, the air is warm, metallic, recycled too many times to feel fresh. Red lights glow dimly along the passageways, turning every face into a mask of shadow. Lieutenant Commander Robert H. Mallory, commanding officer, stands in the control room with one hand braced against the chart table. He is 38, lean, his eyes permanently narrowed as if the world itself is too bright. The deck vibrates faintly beneath his boots, reactor steady, turbines whispering. This patrol was never announced, never logged in any public record. Even among the crew, the mission details were delivered in fragments. Depth steady at 300 feet, the diving officer reports. Mallory nods. Maintain course. Silent running. The order travels through the boat like a held breath. Fans slow. Non-essential systems shut down. The Allegiance becomes less a machine and more a shadow, an object designed not to be found. This patrol is supposed to be routine. That is the lie everyone tells themselves. The submarine carries experimental acoustic intelligence equipment, a prototype passive sonar array meant to hear what no other vessel can. Soviet submarines. New propeller designs. The hidden signatures of a rival empire moving beneath the same ocean. The Cold War above the surface is speeches and photographs. Down here, it is mathematics, pressure, and steel. At 0407 hours, the sonar shack stiffens. Sonar, Petty Officer First Class Evan Klein says quietly, eyes locked on his headphones. I've got something. Mallory steps closer. Bearing? 095. Very faint. Not biologics. Could be, machinery. The room tightens. The Atlantic is crowded with ghosts, old wrecks, thermal layers that bend sound, phantom echoes. But Klein's voice carries a certainty that cuts through superstition. Classification. Mallory asks. Klein hesitates. Unknown. Doesn't match our library. Mallory looks to the navigator. The chart shows nothing but empty ocean. No shipping lanes. No friendly units. No reason for anything mechanical to be there. Reduce speed, Mallory orders. 5 knots. The Allegiance slows, gliding deeper into the sound's shadow. Second stretch. The only noise is the faint click of instruments and the soft breathing of men trained to be invisible. Then, nothing. Contact lost, Klein says. Mallory straightens. A single unknown contact doesn't justify deviation, but something about the way it vanished unsettles him. Sound doesn't simply disappear underwater. It fades. It bends. It lies. Mark the bearing, Mallory says. Log it as transient. The logbook entry will never be seen outside this hull. At 0612 hours, the submarine rises slightly to adjust depth. A routine maneuver. The control room watches the gauges respond, until one doesn't. The engineering officer says, tension creeping in. I'm seeing a fluctuation in auxiliary power. Momentary. Mallory's jaw tightens. Cause? Unknown, sir. It stabilized. Unknown again. 2 in one morning. Mallory orders a systems check. The crew moves with practiced calm, but unease creeps in where confidence should be. The Allegiance is new, advanced, trusted, but she carries systems that have never been tested this far from oversight. At 0701 hours, the submarine prepares to transmit a scheduled encrypted status burst, 3 seconds of data, nothing more. Position, reactor status, all nominal. A ritual reassurance to commanders who will never know exactly where she is. Radio, stand by, Mallory says. The radio officer flips the switch. Nothing happens. Try again, Mallory says. The officer does. The panel remains dark. Sir, the radio officer says slowly, we're not transmitting. Mallory feels the shift immediately. In a submarine, communication is life. Silence is power, but only when chosen. Engineering, Mallory snaps. Confirm power routing. Power is good, comes the reply. Radio circuit shows no fault. Mallory stares at the dead panel. Outside the hull, millions of tons of water press inward, indifferent. Somewhere above, the world assumes the Allegiance is exactly where she should be, doing exactly what she planned. She is not. At 0724 hours, the sonar contact returns, stronger now. Close enough that Klein pulls his headphones off, eyes wide. Con, he says, voice barely controlled. It's moving with us. Malloy steps forward. Distance. I can't tell, sir. It's like it's inside our baffles. Behind the boat. Where they cannot see. Malloy's hand curls into a fist. Helm, he says, choosing each word carefully. Come right 10 degrees. Maintain depth. The Allegiance turns. The contact turns with her. For the first time since leaving port, Malloy feels it clearly, the sensation every submariner dreads but never names. They are no longer alone. And in less than an hour, USS Allegiance will vanish from the known world, leaving behind no distress call, no debris, and no explanation that can be spoken aloud for decades. The turn should have broken the contact. It doesn't. The helm answers smoothly, the deck tilting just enough for coffee cups to tremble in their holders. Gyros hum. The Allegiance slides through the black water like a blade changing direction mid-strike. Sonar, Malloy says. Report. Klein doesn't answer immediately. His fingers tighten around the headphones as if they're trying to escape. It's still there, he finally says. Same relative bearing. Same signature. Malloy exhales through his nose. Speed. Matching ours. That isn't possible, not like this. A submarine can trail another, but doing it perfectly, silently, without cavitation or drift. That requires either extraordinary skill, or something that doesn't behave like a conventional vessel. Could it be a Soviet boat? The executive officer, Lieutenant James Carter, asks quietly. Malloy doesn't look at him. The Soviets don't have anything this quiet. Not in 61. The words hang, heavy with implication. At 0741 hours, the auxiliary power flicker returns, longer this time. Lights dim for half a second, then recover. Somewhere deep in the boat, a warning buzzer chirps and dies. Engineering, Malloy says. I want answers. The response comes back strained. Sir, we're seeing interference across multiple systems. It's not a failure, it's like noise. Electrical noise. Noise. The same word sonar uses when something doesn't fit. Malloy's instincts scream at him to surface, to transmit, to break the rules and let the sky know they exist. But surfacing in a hostile patrol zone is suicide, and transmitting more than scheduled bursts risks revealing the submarine's position to exactly the wrong listener. Still, silence is becoming its own danger. Radio, Malloy says. Prep emergency burst. Narrow beam. 3 seconds. The radio officer hesitates. Sir, the transmitter. I know, Malloy cuts in. Prep it anyway. The crew moves faster now, tension sharpening every motion. Sweat beads on foreheads despite the cool air. The Allegiance is designed to survive crushing depths and nuclear war, but not uncertainty. At 0756 hours, the sonar contact changes. Con. Klein says sharply. It's, Jesus, it's accelerating. Malloy steps to his side. Toward us. Parallel, then crossing our wake. It's, circling. Circling. Like a predator testing range. Helm, Malloy snaps. All ahead flank. Come left 15 degrees. The turbines spool up. The submarine surges forward, abandoning stealth for speed. The hull creaks faintly as water pressure shifts. Every man aboard feels the risk. They are louder now, more visible. Contact reacting, Klein says. Still with us. Malloy's jaw tightens. Whatever is out there isn't surprised. It expected this. At 0803 hours, the radio panel flickers to life, just for an instant. Green indicators flash, then stabilize. We've got partial power, the radio officer says. We can transmit, maybe once. Do it, Malloy says immediately. Send position grid, mission code, and, he pauses, choosing how much truth can be sent in 3 seconds. And anomalous contact. The radio officer's fingers fly. Encryption keys spin. The transmitter charges with a low whine that seems far too loud in the silent running train boat. Burst ready, the radio officer says. Malloy nods. Send. At 0805 hours, USS Allegiance speaks to the world. 3 seconds. A compressed pulse of data aimed not at the horizon but straight up through the ocean, bouncing off the ionosphere toward a listening station that may or may not be paying attention. The moment the burst ends, every light in the control room dims. Then go out. Blackness slams down like a door. Emergency red lights flicker on, powered by batteries. Alarms begin to wail, reactor scram warnings, Power distribution faults, sonar overload. Reactors shutting down, someone yells from engineering. Sonar. Mallory shouts. Klein's voice comes back tight with fear. Sir, contact is directly astern. Extremely close. How close? Klein swallows. Less than 500 yards. Mallory feels the deck vibrate, not from their own engines, but from something else. A low-frequency thrum that isn't sound so much as pressure. It presses against the hull, against the bones. Emergency dive procedures, Mallory orders. Take us down. Now. The diving officer throws the controls. Ballast tanks flood. The depth gauge needle spins. Passing 400 feet, 450. The hull groans, a living thing protesting the strain. Contact descending with us. Klein shouts. Sir, Carter says, unable to keep the edge out of his voice, whatever that is, it's not losing us. At 0821 hours, the Allegiance reaches 600 feet, deeper than planned, still within tolerance but uncomfortably so. The water outside is ink black, cold enough to kill in seconds. Mallory stares at the depth gauge, then at the darkened radio panel. They've sent their message. Somewhere, someone may have seen it. But the ocean doesn't care. The sonar contact emits a sudden, sharp pulse, not an explosion, not a collision. A pressure wave that rattles instruments and knocks one man to his knees. Then, silence. Total. Absolute. Sonar screens blank out. Power stabilizes unnaturally fast. The vibration vanishes. Klein whispers. It's gone. Mallory doesn't relax. Predators don't always leave. Sometimes they wait. He opens his mouth to give the next order. And USS Allegiance drops off the Navy's tracking boards, off encrypted circuits, off the map of the known world. For the next 21 days, no one outside this steel hull will know if she is alive or dead. June 14, 1961, Naval Intelligence Command, Washington, D.C. The operations room smells of coffee, ozone, and stale cigarette smoke. Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting a sickly glow on wall-sized maps of the Atlantic threaded with grease pencil lines. At 0820 hours Eastern, a junior communications officer frowns at his console. He checks the clock. Then checks the screen again. Sir, he says, standing a little too quickly. We missed Allegiance's follow-up acknowledgement. The duty commander, Captain Harold S. Whitcomb, doesn't look up at first. Missed acknowledgements happen. Weather. Solar interference. Equipment quirks. Especially when dealing with submarines that aren't supposed to be talking much in the first place. How late? Whitcomb asks. 4 minutes. Whitcomb looks up now. Ping the relay station. The order moves fast. Technicians adjust frequencies, resend the encoded handshake. The reply that should come back, an automated confirmation burst, doesn't. At 0831 hours, Whitcomb is on his feet. Bring me the patrol file, he says. A classified folder lands on the table. No title on the cover. No markings beyond a single red stamp, eyes only. Whitcomb opens it and scans the mission profile, route corridors, sensor test objectives, restricted waters. His jaw tightens when he sees how far north the Allegiance is operating. At 0835 hours, a technician clears his throat. Sir, we did receive something. Whitcomb turns. What kind of something? 3-second burst. Extremely compressed. Partial decode only. They route it to the main screen. The data scrolls in fragments, numbers, grid references, timestamps. Enough to make Whitcomb's pulse spike. Anomalous contact, he reads aloud. The room goes quiet. That's not a malfunction report, Whitcomb says slowly. That's a threat call. By 0842 hours, the word missing is written beside USS Allegiance's name on the Atlantic Operations Board. It is written in pencil, erasable. Officially, nothing is wrong yet. Unofficially, the Cold War just acquired a new nightmare. June 15, 1961, North Atlantic Search Zone. The destroyer USS Hawkins plows through choppy seas under low clouds. Her sonar pings echo outward in steady, disciplined rhythm, probing depths where light has never reached. A P-2V Neptune patrol aircraft circles overhead, its crew staring down at a restless gray expanse that refuses to give up secrets. Sonar contact, the Hawkins captain asks. Nothing solid, comes the reply. Lots of thermal clutter. No metallic returns. They sweep the grid where the Allegiance should be. Where she last spoke. Where the ocean swallowed her whole. Nothing. No oil. No debris. No emergency buoy. No trace of a hull rupture or implosion shockwave. The sea behaves as if nothing extraordinary has happened, because to the sea, nothing has. Back in Washington, Whitcomb listens as analysts argue in low voices. Could be catastrophic failure, one says. Reactor incident, rapid descent, hull collapse. No implosion signal, another counters. SOSUS arrays would have picked it up. A third voice, quieter, could the Soviets have her? The room freezes. Whitcomb doesn't dismiss the idea. He can't. A U.S. nuclear submarine vanishing intact is not just a loss, it's a strategic catastrophe. Reactor design. Sonar tech. Encryption systems. All suddenly vulnerable. Any Soviet fleet movement, he asks. None that explain this, an analyst replies. No search. No unusual radio traffic. Which is worse. By June 18, the search has expanded, surface ships, aircraft, classified SOSUS monitoring. The ocean remains mute. Families are not notified. There is no funeral, no folded flags. Officially, USS Allegiance is on extended patrol. Inside the Pentagon, planners sketch scenarios no one wants to name. Rogue Soviet interceptor subs. Experimental weapons. Acoustic harassment platforms designed to disable, not destroy. And beneath all of it lies the most disturbing possibility. What if the Allegiance isn't lost? What if she's simply unreachable? June 24, 1961, USS Allegiance, unknown depth. The lights are low. Power is rationed. Men speak in whispers, as if the ocean itself might be listening. Mallory sits alone in the control room, staring at a chart that no longer means anything. The last known position is weeks old. Dead reckoning has become guesswork. Navigation instruments drift unpredictably, compasses swinging as if confused by invisible hands. They have not heard the contact again. That doesn't bring comfort. The crew is alive, but trapped in a pocket of uncertainty deeper than the sea. Radio remains dead. Attempts to surface are aborted when sonar detects faint pressure waves above them. Never close enough to classify, never far enough to ignore. Something is still there. Watching. Waiting. And somewhere above, the world has begun to accept that USS Allegiance is gone forever. They are wrong. June 25, 1961, USS Allegiance, North Atlantic, depth classified. The first sign is the temperature. It drops without warning, just a few degrees at first, enough for breath to fog faintly in the control room. Then more. The environmental systems struggle to compensate, heat is cycling harder, drawing precious power. Environmental's fighting something, the chief of the boat reports. External water temp just plunged. Mallory looks up from the chart. Thermocline? The chief shakes his head. No, sir. This is different. It's like the water around us is being actively mixed. Actively. The word lands hard. Mallory stands and moves to sonar. The screens glow dull green, noisy with interference that comes and goes in slow, rhythmic pulses. Klein, Mallory says. Anything? Klein presses his headphones tighter. His eyes are rimmed red now. Sleep comes in fragments on a missing submarine. There's a ceiling above us, he says finally. Mallory doesn't speak. Not a surface layer, Klein continues. Something dense. Wide. It reflects sound like a solid plane. A solid plane, underwater. Distance? Mallory asks. 200 feet above. It moves when we move. The Allegiance has been shadowed before. But this is different. This is containment. Mallory feels the weight of the situation settle fully for the first time. They are not being hunted. They are being held. June 26, 1961, Naval Intelligence Command, Washington, D.C. Captain Whitcomb stands before a closed-door briefing. No uniforms below 06. No notes allowed. The room hums with projector heat and unease. A single photograph fills the screen, a blurred sonar plot from a classified array in the North Atlantic. This was recorded at 0300 hours, Whitcomb says. 2 days ago. A hand goes up. That's not a submarine profile. No, Whitcomb agrees. It isn't. The shape is wrong. Too wide. Too smooth. No propeller signature. No identifiable machinery noise. It moves, uniformly. Where did this come from? Another officer asks. Whitcomb hesitates. From a system we don't officially admit exists. The implication lands. SOSUS didn't just hear something, it tracked it. Briefly. And USS Allegiance, Someone asks. Whitcomb clicks to the next slide. A blank grid. We believe she's underneath it. Silence. One man finally says what everyone is thinking. Sir, is this a weapon? Whitcomb doesn't answer immediately. It doesn't behave like one, he says at last. Weapons destroy. This doesn't. It interferes. It obscures. It isolates. A younger officer swallows. Then what is it doing? Whitcomb's voice is low. Learning. June 27, 1961, USS Allegiance. Food is rationed now. Non-essential lights are off. The submarine feels smaller every day, corridors closing in as stress tightens like pressure at depth. Mallory gathers his senior officers in the wardroom. We are not surfacing, he says plainly. Every attempt has been met with acoustic resistance. Whatever's above us reacts before we reach it. Carter folds his arms. Sir, if it wanted us dead. We'd be dead, Mallory finishes. The unspoken question lingers, why aren't they? At 1,410 hours, sonar spikes again. The ceiling descends, slowly, deliberately, closing the gap from 200 feet to 100. Depth holding, the diving officer reports, voice tight. Mallory grips the edge of the table. All stop. The Allegiance freezes in the water. So does the thing above them. A low-frequency hum bleeds through the hull, not loud, but omnipresent. Instruments flicker. The magnetic compass spins uselessly. Then, for the first time since June 14, a human voice crackles through the radio speaker. Distorted. Warped. Not English. Not Russian. But undeniably structured. Every man in the control room freezes. Radio, Mallory says, barely above a whisper. Record everything. The voice repeats, cadence steady, as if testing syllables. Testing response. Mallory feels a cold certainty settle in his gut. This is no accident. USS Allegiance was not lost. She was selected. The voice fades, leaving behind a silence so heavy it feels artificial, as if sound itself has been switched off. No one speaks. The radio speaker hisses softly, empty now, like an open mouth that has forgotten how to form words. Mallory is the first to move. Shut it down, he says. Radio to standby. Engineering, full diagnostic sweep. Sonar, I want every frequency logged. Aye, sir, comes the chorus, but the crew's hands tremble as they work. Men who have trained their entire careers to listen for torpedoes and propellers are now cataloging something that doesn't belong in any manual. Minutes pass. Then an hour. The ceiling remains above them, 100 feet, unwavering. The hum persists, cycling in patterns that begin to feel intentional. 3 pulses. Pause. 2 pulses. Pause longer. It's repeating, Klein murmurs. Like, syntax. Mallory closes his eyes for a moment. He thinks of the sonar array they're carrying, the experimental system designed to listen deeper, farther, clearer than anything before it. A system meant to reveal secrets. You think it followed the noise? Carter asks quietly. Mallory opens his eyes. I think we rang a bell. June 29, 1961, Washington, D.C. The briefing room is darker now. No windows. No clocks. Time is measured in reports and coffee refills. Whitcomb listens as a civilian scientist, borrowed from a laboratory that officially works on ocean acoustics, finishes his presentation. What you're describing, the man says, tapping the sonar plot, is not propulsion in the conventional sense. There's no thrust signature. It's more like displacement. The medium moves, not the object. Someone scoffs. That's impossible. The scientist doesn't flinch. So was controlled nuclear fission, once. Whitcomb leans forward. Could it interfere with submarine systems? The scientist nods. Easily. Sonar. Power distribution. Navigation. If you can manipulate pressure and density on that scale, electronics become suggestions. And communication? Whitcomb asks. The scientist hesitates. Communication might be exactly what it's interested in. The room goes very quiet. June 30, 1961, USS Allegiance. Sleep deprivation is becoming dangerous. Men dream while awake, mistaking creaks of the hull for footsteps. The psychological strain is worse than the physical. At 0312 hours, the voice returns. Clearer this time. Still distorted, but closer. A sequence of sounds emerges, then pauses. Repeats. Klein's hands shake as he adjusts filters. Sir, it's mirroring our sonar pings. Mallory steps closer. Explain. It's taking our active sonar pulse and answering. But modified. Slower. Like it's breaking it apart. Learning. Adapting. Mallory feels a surge of anger cut through the fear. We're not an exhibit, he says. We're a United States Navy warship. He turns to the radio officer. Transmit. The officer looks at him, stunned. Sir, with what? With our voice. The crew freezes. Open channel, Mallory orders. Low power. Plain speech. Carter grabs his arm. Bob. Mallory shakes him off. If it wanted silence, it would have killed us. If it wanted noise, would already be screaming. The radio officer swallows and flips the switch. Mallory leans toward the microphone. This is Lieutenant Commander Robert H. Mallory, he says slowly, clearly. Commanding Officer of United States Submarine Allegiance. We acknowledge your signal. The words vanish into the water. Seconds pass. Then the hum changes pitch. The ceiling above them rises, 10 feet, then 20, like a breath being released. The voice returns. This time, the pattern is unmistakable. Imitation. Not words, but rhythm. Cadence. Response. They're answering you, Klein whispers. Mallory doesn't smile. He doesn't relax. Because understanding is a doorway that swings both ways. And USS Allegiance has just stepped through. The ocean seems to lean in. Pressure gauges remain steady, but everyone aboard feels it, the sensation of being examined from all directions at once. The hum settles into a lower register, no longer intrusive, almost attentive. Mallory keeps his hand near the microphone but doesn't speak again immediately. He waits. In submarine warfare, patience is often the only weapon you have. The response comes not as sound, but as absence. Sonar clears. The interference that has plagued their instruments for days simply stops. Screens sharpen. Bearings stabilize. The compass needle quivers, then steadies. Sir, the navigator says, disbelief creeping in, navigation just snapped back into tolerance. The ceiling above them lifts another 50 feet. Whatever is holding them understands cause and effect. Mallory leans in. You can hear us, he says. And you can understand response. The hum shifts, 3 pulses, pause, 3 pulses again. Klein's eyes widen. That's acknowledgement, sir. It's matching the confirmation pattern we use internally. Carter exhales slowly. It's been listening the whole time. Mallory nods. Then it knows we're not alone in the world above. The realization lands heavily. This entity, machine, intelligence, phenomenon, has now learned of nations, hierarchies, and conflict. The Cold War has just gained an audience. July 1, 1961, Naval Intelligence Command. Whitcomb stands with a phone pressed to his ear, listening to a voice that officially does not exist. Repeat that, he says. Yes, sir, comes the reply from a remote SOSUS monitoring station. The interference pattern ceased at 0200 hours. The anomaly elevated. Then we detected movement consistent with controlled ascent. Whitcomb closes his eyes. They're letting her go, he murmurs. July 2, 1961, USS Allegiance. The ceiling is gone. Above them, the water column is empty, dark, yes, but natural again. No hum. No pressure waves. Just the familiar, indifferent sea. Mallory waits a full hour before issuing the order. Bring us up, he says. Slowly. Silent. The submarine ascends like a survivor emerging from a long burial. Every creak of the hull feels personal now. At 0618 hours, the Allegiance breaks the surface. Gray daylight spills into the conning tower. Cold air rushes in, sharp and clean enough to hurt. Men blink against the sky as if seeing it for the first time. A signal lamp flashes from the bridge. The radio crackles, clear, strong, unmistakably human. USS Allegiance, this is U.S. Atlantic Command. Do you read? Mallory grips the microphone. Atlantic Command, he says, voice steady despite everything. We read you. There is a pause on the other end. Then. Welcome back. No one cheers. They know better. July 5, 1961, Norfolk Naval Base. The submarine docks under heavy security. Armed Marines line the pier. No families. No press. No flags. Men are escorted off in silence, each separated, each sworn to secrecy that will outlive careers and marriages. Mallory is the last to disembark. Whitcomb waits for him, eyes tired, face drawn. "Captain," Malloy says. Whitcomb studies him. "Commander, where have you been?" Malloy looks past him, out toward the open Atlantic. "Contained," he says simply. Whitcomb nods. He doesn't ask for more. Some answers don't improve with detail. Behind closed doors, reports are written, classified, buried. The official explanation becomes equipment malfunction and navigational anomaly. USS Allegiance returns to service 6 months later, her experimental systems quietly removed. And deep beneath the North Atlantic, something remains. Listening. Having learned that when it speaks, humans answer.